You are sitting in a restaurant waiting for lunch on a Friday afternoon. A family with a 3-year-old is sitting at the table next to you. The waiter brings the dishes ordered by them. Everyone starts eating happily. However, this quiet family meal will not last. The child starts to whine. They whine that they are full and they would like to run around and not sit at the table anymore. The whining turns into crying, which progresses into screaming. Nothing will save the table sitting next to you. They will not have a quiet dinner. Do you know how to speak to your child in difficult situations in a way which is understandable? Do you want to learn how to communicate effectively with your child without screaming yourself? I invite you to watch a short animation including 5 tips to help you communicate with your child. Number 3 is my personal favorite. Enjoy! Hi, my name is Sophie, and you are watching Practical Parenting, a YouTube channel established to inspire you to become a better parent by promoting intimacy parenting and a non-violent upbringing. Once a week, you will find an animation on an interesting educational topic. If you are interested in these matters, subscribe to our channel. Every child has different needs, requirements, and cognitive abilities depending on their development level. It is very difficult to standardize rules in order to communicate equally with a 3-year-old and a 15-year-old. Although there are a few universal tips which I discovered in Adele Faber and Elaine Majlish's book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. The authors pay attention not only how to speak, but also to listen to the children. Because isn't the latter often the main cause of misunderstandings? Exactly. Let's dive into this topic in the first part of this animation, how to communicate effectively with your children. Number 1, accept your child's feelings. Imagine you were shopping in a supermarket with your child. All of a sudden, you are informed by your child that they are hungry. You ignore this. After all, you want to finish your shopping, come home quickly, and prepare dinner for the whole family. Your child, no matter how big, keeps whining that they want to eat something. A teenager may not start crying and screaming in the store, but a 5-year-old does. It is not possible for you to ignore this situation. You attempt to try and silence the child, and you even raise your voice to try and control the situation, but nothing seems to help. The reason why this tactic is not working is because the child will not listen to you until you accept their feelings. Many other scenarios work in the same way. In the restaurant, as mentioned before, in the car on the way to an appointment, and even doing your housework. The reason why children often do not listen to their parents is because they themselves are being ignored. The hunger in the store is most likely bearable, although behind this is the frustration of being ignored all the time. This makes your child endure double the discomfort, and they do not know how they should behave while they are experiencing these feelings. The key to solving this problem is an apparently trivial, but sometimes difficult task. Listen to your child. There are many techniques you can utilize to become an effective and careful listener, but children, however, are very specific, as they are very attentive and ready to catch you at your slightest slip. They will not be put off with just any nod. When your child is telling you how they are feeling at that exact moment and what is causing him or her discomfort, it is best to repeat what they are saying after them to show that it is clear to your child that you understand them properly. It will also be a clear reassurance to the toddler that you are listening to them. You can also try explaining to them why they may be feeling this way. For example, in the event of hunger, when you say, "I understand that you're hungry, as it has been a while since we ate breakfast." But things can be of a much heavier caliber than momentary hunger. In this case, don't try to pretend you understand what the child is talking about. If they notice this will only add fuel to the fire. Try using contact and conversation. Listen to what your child has to say and include it in your future plans at hand. For example, why don't you eat some fruit on the way home instead of waiting for dinner? Number 2, control your anger. What do you do when you see your child is not listening to you? You feel misunderstood yourself. Your mind goes out the window and you feel frustrated. Maybe you argue with them. Your child may be playing when they shouldn't be, running back to the playground, or not turning off the TV. Anyone would be frustrated. However, it won't help if you start raising your voice or even shouting, threatening or ordering your child around. The little one will only continue to do what they are doing. And they still won't listen to you. Or even worse, they will start doing things to upset you even more. So what do you do in such a situation? Proper communication. The right approach to this situation, tone of voice and intentions, will encourage your child to cooperate and not to resist. This will create an atmosphere of respect and understanding, which is crucial if you want to permanently change your child's behavior and prevent undesirable situations in the future. Firstly, describe the problem to your child. Don't blame or point fingers at what has already been done wrong, but simply explain what is wrong. Additionally, provide reasons as to why this behavior is inappropriate and what immediate consequences it may have. When I say this, I don't mean, if you don't go to bed right now, your father will come home from work and scream at you. Absolutely not. This tactic will never work. Stay on the topic of going to sleep, and you can use much better tactics than this. Explain to your child that if they go to bed late, they will wake up tired in the morning and won't have the strength to focus at school or their favorite afternoon PE classes. Explain the problem to the child, and further listing the potential consequences allows them to individually determine what to do. Thanks to this information, your child has the opportunity to see for themselves what is good for them. By communicating this way in a calm tone and using matter-of-fact arguments, you will find that your child is ready to listen to you without raising their voice unnecessarily. Number 3, replace penalties with a compromise. Often parents, after unsuccessful attempts to persuade their child to do something, use punishments. I've used the plural for a reason. It probably never ends with one punishment. The situation repeats itself most often. This is the first sign that this method is ineffective. When you punish a child, you encourage them to feel bitterness towards you. Any punishment only adds to the anger and frustration in both parents and children, and your authority then diminishes. This greatly reduces the likelihood that your children will accept your opinion the next time. Instead of disappearing, the problem only increases. The behavior of a teenager is a good example in this case. Imagine that your teenager comes home much later than agreed for the 3rd time this week. You impose a barrier on them and forbid them to leave the house. In other words, grounding. It is true you will effectively keep your teenager at home, but they will become embittered and angry. They won't understand that coming back late is wrong. They will only understand that you as the parent doesn't accept it. They will most likely stretch the rules again in the future. In such situations, it is worth changing your approach. Practice dialogue and mutual understanding again. First, talk about your child's feelings. Ask why he or she came home so late and the contract was not kept from their side. Then, share your own feelings. Explain that you feel concerned when your teenager returns well after the scheduled time, as there is a risk that something might have happened. After honest mutual conversation, brainstorm together to find a solution to your common problem. The goal here is to reach a compromise acceptable to both sides. Why is this approach likely to be successful? Because mutual understanding forces the child to think about their behavior for themselves and not just unconsciously submit themselves to enforced arrangements. Number 4, let your child be independent. Childhood is not only a time for safe development under the wings of the parents, but it must also be a period of preparation for independence in childhood. You certainly will not teach this to your child by giving them orders for the whole day, and limiting everything that they do. There are still plenty of parents who prefer to choose something for their children because it's faster and more convenient than letting them choose themselves. Instead of counting on absolute obedience on every matter, let them make their own decisions. Encourage your child to do this every day. For example, let them develop their own system for the separation of education and free time. Make your child feel that they need to do homework, but do not impose that this should be done at a time specifically of your own accord. Let him or her plan their afternoon themselves, and if they make a mistake, they will suffer the consequences themselves. If these consequences do occur, avoid scolding, as it will not bring anything positive. Be supportive to your children and help them. Letting your child discover the world on their own will make you perceived in a completely different light as a parent. Instead of a dictator, you will be a figure that can always come for advice and help. Number 5, praise. It is very important for a parent to do this skillfully and often. Did your child do something amazing? Praise them. Your reactions cannot be limited to only pointing out mistakes and issuing commands. Praise builds self-confidence and self-esteem. It is worth not making fleeting remarks such as, "You painted a beautiful picture," or "You were very friendly on the playground today." They can trigger unexpected reactions, such as denial, and can even be perceived as manipulation on your part. So how do you praise? Always describe what the child did and go into details. Instead of saying, "Nice picture," say, "The picture you painted is very nice. I especially like the animals in the foreground." You can also add words that sum up the entire behavior. For example, "This is what I call creativity." Be careful to not mention their previous failures in such praise, such as, "Your last drawing wasn't very good, but this one is already much better." This type of praise will not allow the child to get only a positive feeling from it. The added mention of failure can have a significant impact on the overall impression perceived. There are many different techniques on raising children. If you want to become a better parent, then you have to give up on the simple techniques and shortcuts, which don't require much work. Instead, you need to use today's knowledge, your ingenuity, and life experience to communicate with your child in such a way so that they understand you on all levels. Wishing you lots of parental love and close relationships with your loved ones. I thank you for your attention and invite you to discover Practical Parenthood. If you are not yet one of the subscribers of the channel, Practical Parenting, please click the subscribe button and wait for our next animation.